The Karzai government has insisted for weeks it will release dozens of prisoners from Bagram base, despite US objections. And they weren't bluffing.
We
could not find any evidence to prove that these 65 people are criminals. According to Afghan law, there was no reason to keep them in the prison. And there's no evidence the period they spent inside the prison and the overall process was unlawful or illegal.
The prison on Bagram base was set up and run by the US military, but handed over to the Afghan government last year. President Hamid Karzai has called it a Taliban-making factory, saying innocent men enter the facility and leave, despising his government. Nonetheless, 65 prisoners were set free on Thursday morning.
They've been taken out of the prison. They were holding their clothes in their hands. They received some cash and instructions from a cleric here. Then they all went home.
The US says the men are all dangerous Taliban fighters, responsible for civilian and military casualties.
These individuals are dangerous. They pose threats to the safety and security of the Afghan people and the Afghan state, which is what I would say in terms of the threat that they pose. There is information linking each of them to terror-related crimes, including the use of improvised explosive devices, which, again, to turn it around from the US, are the largest killer of Afghan civilians.
But none of them were tried in court. A review board set up by President Karzai looked at their cases and said there was not enough evidence to hold them. This is the latest spat between the US and President Karzai, who refuses to sign a security pact allowing the US military to stay in the country after 2014. Once allies, relations between Washington and Kabul continue to stumble from one argument to another. Jane Ferguson, Al Jazeera.